Human beings are perhaps never more frightening than when they are convinced beyond any doubt that they are right. Can I say it again? Human beings are perhaps never more frightening, I'll say it again, frightening, than when they are convinced beyond a doubt that they are right. Does anybody know why? Why are people so frightening when they think they're so right? Nobody knows? Well, if people come to quick conclusions and they think they're right, they're not open to new opinion. They could change your life. They could kill you if they're so set in their beliefs. It's taken me many years to realize why. Can anybody tell me why they're frightened? Or you should be frightened? Nobody, not one person? Okay, my name is Professor Hashem. I've spent many years teaching media, directing in media and television. More recently, I've been studying law. So I've tried to find the correlation between media and art and then the law. And what I came to realize in all of these different disciplines that I've worked in and that I've studied, one thing remains constant. And I promise you I'll answer the quote from the beginning about why it's so frightening when somebody thinks they're so right and so correct. I'll promise you I'll answer that in the next 9.5 minutes. One thing remains constant in my journey, that there is a creative process in all of these disciplines. And it's actually in this creative process that we can reach the right conclusion, the proper conclusion. But this talk isn't about art and creativity. I want you to leave this talk in the next 9 minutes and to use the creative process in all of your work. So how many engineers do we have in the room? Many engineers? Doctors? Maybe lawyers? I promise you in the next 9 minutes, I will help you use the creative process to make your correct decisions the right way. So, when I began my career, I was a fast thinker. Always making decisions straight away. Never stopping to think, because I was told as a young Egyptian that خُذ قرار بسرعة. اثبت في قرارك. Who's heard that saying before? Everybody? Especially for a man. Take a decision quickly and don't change your mind. And I found that to be a huge mistake. I believe decisiveness was strength. To make a decision quickly was very strong. And actually, we are told that when we make a decision quickly, or we think we are right straight away, it is a sign of intelligence. People think that the faster you respond, come to a conclusion, you're actually more intelligent. That's not actually the case. The case is it's actually very limiting. Why is it very limiting? I'll go one step further. It could actually kill you. Taking a quick decision could actually kill you. Does anybody know why it could kill you? It might sound a bit dramatic, but okay, let's talk about doctors. Say a doctor is in a hurry to make a quick diagnosis and kills the patient, gives him the wrong medication. Or the engineer doesn't go through all the moving parts that he has to come up with to build the bridge or the skyscraper. He doesn't consider where the electricity is going to go. He doesn't consider where the water is going to go. And he builds a bridge, either it could fall down, or in 6 months' time we realize we need to break it again and start all over again, because he came up with the quick decision that he had to answer straight away. So it's actually a very dangerous notion to think quickly and to come up with a conclusion straight away. I've also come to realize that it's actually impossible. We're not ChatGPT. We're not computers, guys. 1 + 1 might equal 2 on a calculator, but it's not the way we live as human beings. There's a process we must take. And that process is called the creative process. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. We have probably 8 minutes left. So the creative process requires brainstorming. It requires sitting down and thinking through the ideas. Trial and error. Who's scared to make a mistake here? A lot of us. Why? It's good to make mistakes. By making the mistake, that's how we correct ourselves. We are scared to make mistakes. So in the creative process, there's a brainstorming phase. We need to also consider other things. Uncertainty. Who's scared to be uncertain here? Can I tell you something, ladies and gentlemen? Uncertainty is where the magic happens. Sitting in this uncertain mindset of, I don't know where I'm going yet, I don't know what to do yet, is what's going to lead you to the right result. The process, not the conclusion. The journey, not the destination. And that's very important. So this shift in my beliefs from being a quick decision maker to becoming a little bit more slower has made me more creative in all the works that I've done. It's not just about art. It changed how I taught, how I lived, and how I led people. I became a slower person, but my eventual conclusions became better. Some people don't have time to listen to the whole process of learning it slowly, but it actually works. When I started learning law, my constitution professor said to me one thing: don't worry about the truth. And I said, what do you mean? Don't worry about the truth. Don't worry about the judgment, the conclusion. I said, what do I worry about then? She said, worry about the process. Find out how we came up with the law. Find out how this person is either guilty or not guilty. And that was a great awakening for me. When I heard that, I said, wow, that sounds very similar to how we make art. We don't think about the conclusion, we think about the process. By doing something, trial and error. So, once I realized that, how did I implement that in the classroom, being a teacher at university? I was teaching media. I started noticing something really fascinating. The moment students started thinking about storytelling, how am I going to make a story? Who's going to be the main character? Is this story going to be in Egypt or in India or in Australia or in America? They started to think it's okay to make a mistake. Maybe I should call the main character Peter. No, I'll call him Paul. No, maybe I should call her Mary. It became okay to make mistakes. The answer didn't have to come straight away. And I started making connections across these disciplines. I started realizing that playing with ideas is actually a good thing. That's where progress started to happen. They became students that were not there for answers. They were there to ask questions, and they weren't scared to ask questions. They weren't ridiculed by their classmates or their peers. They started asking important questions, and that it was okay to make a mistake. It's better to make a mistake at the beginning while you're still doing the brainstorming of any idea than it is at the end. I used exercises from film and theater to teach critical thinking, role play to understand ethics, script writing to explore social issues. The classroom became a whole stage. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun too. It wasn't just for performance. I'm going to say a really important word, guys, and I need you to take this word away from you. Possibility. It became a stage for possibility. Because when you come up with an idea straight away or a conclusion straight away, you're killing possibility. Okay? Possibility is what this is all about. It didn't just become teaching, it became transformation of lives. So I'll quickly, in the next minute and a half, talk to you about how law is creative. So when I started studying law in Australia, I expected a whole world of rules, structure, logic. Yeah, it's all that. It's rules, it's logic, it's structure. But to my surprise, I realized that it has creativity. The law shouldn't be madda wa iqab. Law, punishment. It's something completely else. Judges don't just apply the laws like equations. They weigh arguments, they explore precedents, and they consider the context of a mawdu'. They need to know the person's background. Have they sold before? Have they killed before? All this is very important before they come up with a conclusion. There's a phase of brainstorming, of constructing narratives. It's trial and error, guys. The courtroom, like the stage, is a place of unfolding stories. This realization was profound for me. Creativity wasn't limited to the arts. It was embedded in the very fabric of decision-making, justice, and reasoning. So what's the process? How do we get there? I got 5 minutes left. How do I get you to the creative process in all of your different careers? Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a lawyer, a pharmacist, a doctor, I promise you, if you use the creative process, it will lead you to a better conclusion and a better life. So, how does it work? How's it done? Here's what I came to believe. Creativity isn't just about something artistic. It's about embracing the process. I keep saying it again because it's very important. Embracing the process. The journey, not the destination. We've all heard that, haven't we? The journey, not the destination. And some people don't actually know what that means. They just say it because it's cool. But it actually is the way to go. Because if you really embrace yourself in just the process and not think about the conclusion for a long time, eventually the conclusion will come, but in a more flowing way. It won't be forced. The problem with most people all around the world is that they want the correct answer straight away. If you're sitting in a cafeteria with your friends and the person that answers the correct answer, even if they're wrong, you're going to think they're smarter and you're going to think they're right because we always want to be correct straight away. That's a huge mistake, especially in law. You could get someone in jail, especially in medicine. You could kill someone, especially in engineering, the bridge could fall, especially in pharmacy. You could give someone the wrong medication. So then comes experimentation, something called experimentation. You need to try, fail. You need to start adjusting what you're doing. That is not easy also. Eventually, clarity emerges, not from force, but from flow. And this takes a bit of time, needs a bit of patience, but it works. I promise you, I've been doing it for more than 10 years and it works. The process helps us move beyond polarized thinking. Does anybody know what polarized means? It's a horrible distortion. It means that you think in black and white. Black and white. It's either right or it is wrong. No. There's a shade of gray in the middle. It's not ahli zamelik. There's much more to it than that. In the law, in medicine, in pharmacy, in all of these disciplines, it's not I am sick or I am not sick. Is the bridge good or isn't it good? There's much more to it than that. And that's what the creative process does. So once we start adopting this process, we learn patience, flexibility, and my favorite word of all, empathy. And unfortunately, human beings, the most frightening human beings are the ones who think they're correct, do not have empathy. Empathy is when بحسش بالآخرين. I cannot feel for the other human being because I'm in such a hurry to be right, to have the right answer. But if I start to embrace the process and start listening to people and experiment with ideas, then I will start having empathy. I will start feeling for other people, and that's very important. So, how did this help me? It helped me managing a team. It helped me try to understand myself. The creative process became a form of healing and achievement. Okay, so I have 2 minutes left of you guys. So my call is for worldwide a reimagining of education. So how do we reimagine education? We need to encourage students not to just memorize facts, but to explore, to play, to create. We need to train doctors, engineers, lawyers, pharmacists, and yes, of course, artists, not only to be precise, but to be curious. When I first started studying law, I called up one of my old artist friends, without saying her name, in Germany, and I asked her the process of how she makes her work. And she told me this 4-stage process. And in law, we learned something called the 4-stage process law. It's called the IRAC, A-I-R-A-C. And I said, it's exactly the same. What you're doing to get to artwork is exactly what we're doing in law. So there must be something really unique about this creative process. So we need to stop encouraging students to stop memorizing. Get them to stop memorizing, for God's sake. Get them to play with ideas. Get them to make a mistake. Tell them it's okay to make a mistake. Eventually, the answer will come. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't need more people with answers. We need more people who know how to ask better questions and not be afraid to be wrong. Give it a go. You got nothing to lose. I hope I answered that quote at the beginning, why it was very frightening for somebody to be correct all the time. They're horrible people to deal with. They never change their opinions. They never evolve. I stand by you here today, not as a professor or a director or a student of law, but as someone who has been reshaped by the creative process. It really has changed my life. It's slowed me down. It's deepened me. It's allowed me to teach and live with more purpose. I've been ridiculed along the way. I've been criticized for taking my time and giving the answer. That's okay. I've become more richer in the inside. So please, guys, I know everybody's really tired. It's the end of the night. It's been a long day for everyone. Please, I invite you, whether you're an educator, a leader, a parent, to embrace the creative process. Let it guide your choices, your relationships, your challenges, not as a path to perfection, but as a way to possibility. Thank you, guys.